I was right.
Well, also at the time in Orange County, there, as I recall it, like I mean, I remember going into your studio for the first time, and I was like, "Oh my god! Like this is like there weren't a lot of other places. I knew about practice places, but actual studios where you could go and record and be able to make a record. Like I didn't understand any of that. So you provided kind of a gateway to I think a lot of us to show like, hey, this is how, if you're interested in going down this path, if you don't want to do a record label, if you don't want to do a band, but you want to be involved and you want to record bands, this is what I'm doing. And yeah, it was just awesome. And also that accessibility of you were right down the street.
Yeah, yeah, it did end up being a great location. But I mean, if you remember back then, though, I mean, no one wanted to be from Orange County. You had to be an LA band. I mean, I knew a lot of bands that would get LA or Hollywood PO boxes so they could say they were a LA band, but we were all living in Orange County just trying to figure out how to make it all work and not be poo-pooed by everybody, all the, cool LA bands.
Who
You know,
was the first band that you recorded there? Do you remember that?
I absolutely do. I will never forget it. It was Manic Subsidal, which do you know that they who that is?
No.
They they, they ended up being the Offspring.
Ah,
So
okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. I was actually, I think, I don't know if we ever really said it out loud, but I'm pretty sure that I was their babysitter on the weekends because they started coming to me and they didn't have driver's licenses. So they would all clean their parents' house and get paid, and then somebody's mom would drive them over to the studio like on Saturday morning, and they would just give me all their money from that their parents had given me. And so I was just kind of babysitting them, and they would come in and we would just knock out songs. It was really interesting to be involved with them and stuff. And it's funny too because I always it always felt like they were going to do something, even though they were young and raw, and but there was just something about them that lured me in, and we became really good friends. And and I'm still really good friends with the whole band. Um, Dexter calls me from all over the world, and and he was just here in Atlanta a few months back, and I had been traveling a lot, and I got kind of sick, so I couldn't catch up with him. But yeah, and then shortly after we did, oh, I don't know, 8 or 10 songs, and then they told me one day that they changed their name to the Offspring, and it was just they ended up having a very interesting recording process because they had a few songs that they knew, and they came in and did that. But then Brian started, or Dexter, he started writing a lot of songs, and the band hated him. So he would come in all by himself with all the band's gear, and we would just set up, and he would lay down a drum track, and then he'd put a bass or guitar on it or whatever, and then we'd just build the song. And sometimes he would sit there and actually write lyrics while I was like taking a break or kind of cleaning up or whatever, and then we'd put the vocal track on it, and then he would take it back to the band, and they would love the song, and then he'd bring the whole band back in, and we'd redo the entire song with all of the members.
Did the recording process in that way go any quicker, you found? Like the fact that you guys had already sort of like done like I guess pre-production or demoed the song, did it go quicker?
Yeah, yeah, it was great. It was a great way to do it. Really, I mean, we didn't see it that way, but it really was. We worked out a lot of parts and stuff. That, yeah, it definitely was like a pre-production thing. Yeah, it was awesome.
And then so you did like, I'm assuming, demos and then the first record, I believe, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What was that first record? Now I can't even
I know
remember.
it came out on Nemesis because that was Big Frank, because he put that out, because Big Frank, I mean, he put out everything, but he also did All of Law, which I think recorded with you as well. And then
Right.
he was going to do Ice, but by that point he'd sort of kind of stopped doing the label. But incidentally, with that first
Uh,
Offspring record, he told me that's the only record he ever did this deal with, where he only had that record for 3 years, and then I think they got it back. And so I think when he started Nitro, when Dexter started Nitro, I think that was like re-released through Nitro.
yeah, I wondered about that too. I never asked them about that, but all of a sudden it popped up as part of their catalog, and I wondered if they bought it from them or how that all worked out. But it did seem like, yeah, I didn't know they only owned it for 3 years.
Well, I
Um,
remember sitting in your studio in 1993. Triggerman were like demoing some songs, and you said, "Hey, did you guys know that the Offspring's record? It was the record before Smash, and you're all. It's already sold 200,000 copies." And I remember, like, I was like, "Wow, like that is like astronomical." And nobody was doing that, and then and then Smash came and did what it did, and the
and
rest is history. But you were the one, like you said that, so it's interesting. You always saw something in them, and that's really awesome.
yeah, yeah, there was just a determination. I think it was just like a combination of determination and just they were all friends, they were all buddies, we were all just we were like family, really. It was really fun. Yeah, I mean there were some great times. Oh my gosh,
And
all
so,
of you guys.
and so that was the first band. Do you remember anything about recording? Oh, I'm just going to start hitting you with bands, and whatever you remember, you remember. Like Far Side. Do you remember anything about because I believe you did their demos.
Yeah, yeah, I distinctly remember them, and I don't remember. And you gave me, you gave me a few bands, before we started the interview. But and I distinctly remember the bands. I could almost see their faces, in my mind. But I just, for the life of me, I can't remember a lot of the recording sessions. They were. I just know that it was just really good guys, and they were working really hard, and I was really trying to make everybody sound as good as I could, because they were just so dedicated. They were so inspiring to me to to see what they were doing and stuff, and I just loved being a part of it. I
Well,
just loved it.
there was a warmth, like, you talk about like the sound of the room and stuff like that. There was a warmth to those Far Side demos that I think a lot of people liked. And then those demos later got released on Kevin Murphy and Brian Chu, who were in Far Side. They ended up putting those out. And so but I always remembered the sound from those. And I was just like, wow, like one
That was
day I would like to do something that sounds like that.
That was yeah, that was a nice room. I really loved that room, and I think everybody know. Did you know there was an acoustic echo chamber in that room, in that building?
Uh, no, I mean, honestly, I I don't know if you remember this, but when I was in there as far as recording, Ice, we booked 5 hours with you. We did our whole 7 inch with you in 5 hours. We booked 5 hours with you.
Did
The
that a
first
lot.
the first four we were like we it was just music. And then like the last hour, Popeye, because he was in the band at the time, came and got me and said, "It's your time." And I think due to time, and I mean they were Ice songs, so they didn't need more time than this. I think I did one song like after another, and I don't think there was more than one or two takes at the most. But I remember being in that room, and there was something about that room, but I never saw. So wait, are you saying that there was an echo chamber within that room?
Yeah, behind the back wall of the control room, there was a huge cavity back there that had all reflective walls, and the space actually went up over the control room, and I had two speakers in there. And then whenever we would go to start mixing, I would take two Shure SM81s and do a stereo pair inside there, and I would bring that the sound of the echo chamber in through the console and put it on add it to the recordings.
Was that done for the majority of the recordings? Was that
everything that I did? I would always put drums in there, and usually a lot of vocals. I think I did in there too, but with guitars, I tried to use more of the room sound than anything else, and some tasteful outboard gear kind of thing. But yeah, that by the way, that building had a lot of history. The Beach Boys recorded there back in the day. I believe the Righteous Brothers
in that same building.
In that building, yeah,
wow.
yeah,
wow.
yeah, and they did a satellite link before I had the building. They did a satellite link and bounced the signal to a CD place in Hollywood, and did a direct to CD recording from there
of the Beach Boys.
I don't know who,
yeah,
I don't know who the band was, but yeah, the whoever had that building before me, yeah, actually did. I believe that it was the first direct to CD recording ever.
So correct me if I'm wrong. A few years later into the 90s, or even then when we were in, you would have not done that. You just would have gone, like, you could have done that in your studio at that point. Like if you had been so inclined.
I don't think that technology was available. I don't think you could record directly to CD at the time.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, we were going to DAT.
Yep.
Yeah, the little looked like a little video cassette.
Yeah, and, like what the mini DVs ended up looking like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so yeah, we were recording to that and then sending it off to a production